Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, welcome to the house of Minerva. My name is Nahal. My student's number is 202122158, and in this content I'm gonna review or maybe retell one of the greatest movie of all time in my opinion. Before we start, make sure that you guys are subscribed to this channel, like it if you love this content, and just dislike it if you disagree with my opinion. So, the movie that we are going to discuss is Shawshank Redemption. Have you heard about this movie? This movie is adapted from a popular novel that written by Stephen King. He indeed is very well known because his books and novels are very legendary. This movie is made in 1994 and directed and written by Frank Darabont, starred by Tom Robbins and Morgan Freeman. Do you know these names? Maybe you only know Morgan Freeman because he is such a great actor and very well known by his wonderful voice, and the way he narrates is very amazing. And for your information, he started to known as a great narrator from this movie. And now, let's start to the plot. This movie is started by a scene where Andy Dufree in a courtroom. Andy is a banker, and now he is judged because he is suspected killed his wife because his wife is caught having an affair. Andy suspected killed both of them, his wife and her affairs. Even though in effect Andy didn't kill anyone, but because the evidence are strong, so Andy ended get in jail. He is placed in a place called Shawshank. In the beginning, Andy feels very unfair and he acts cold to everyone in the prison. In this time too, we are introduced by a prisoner that called Red. He has been in jail for a number of decades. Right now, he is a stuffs smuggler for other prisoners like cigarette, drugs, tool, anything. And they slowly become more closer, and there is one thing that Red doesn't like about Andy. That is Andy's hope. Andy always be optimistic that he will free someday and get a vacation on a beautiful island in Mexico. He also daydreaming about enjoys the beach with Red. He promises one day when he is free, he will put some money in a box that put it in dirt for Red. One day, Andy asked Red for a rock hammer and several posters of his favorite celebrities. He said that he was a rock miner, so he wants to nostalgic with his old profession. Red said yes, and he brings him the hammer and the posters. And his life in prison was tough enough because he often became a victim of sexual harassment by another prisoners. One day, some prisoners are instructed to build a construction. In there, Andy accidentally overhear a warden that having troubles with taxes. Andy offers him a help because Andy knows very well because he is a banker. And it is revealed that his help is useful. Andy starts to help all the wardens about their accounting and taxes stuff. After that moment, all the prisoners are treated well by the wardens due to the Andy's help. Hearing this thing, the head of the warden, Norton, instructs all the wardens to rummage all the prisoners. Although Andy is having a hammer, he stays calm and don't panic. But actually, this rummage is a guise. It's a guise to find out the competency of Andy's skill. Then, he helps Norton to help him to take care of his taxes, and he even helps him to do money laundering. Time flies and Shawshank has a lot of newcomers. One of them, Tommy, is becomes closer with Red and Andy. As they get more closer, Tommy tells them that in his previous prison, he heard a story about a banker who actually isn't guilty about a murder to his wife and his affairs. And then, it's a twist that someone who told this story to Tommy is a real murderer. Andy sure is shocked, and he quickly told the head of warden about this thing. But Norton, he doesn't care at all, and even put Andy in a special isolated room. And in his time, Norton also called Tommy and then killed Tommy. He doesn't want anyone know about his dirty behavior. After Andy gets out from the isolated room, he has become weird and cold. Then he asks Red a rope. Red is so worried about him and afraid Andy will get a suicide like a previous prisoners, namely Brooks. Brooks was in jail for around 50 years. He dedicated himself to a library keeper and very helpful to Shawshank. But when Brooks gets free, he is treated badly because he is an ex-prisoner. And yeah, he is quite old for his age, and he ended by getting a suicide. I'm sorry because I forgot to tell about Brooks. So Red is worried about Andy. So Red is worried once again, worried that Andy will get suicide like Brooks. And then a rummage is done again. Surprisingly, Andy is not in his cell. All the wardens and Red are very shocked because it is revealed that Andy all this time dig a hole behind his posters on the wall and always put his hammer in his Bible. He finally free. Along with his freedom, Andy spilled out all the dirty behavior of Norton to the media press by sending a letter and some evidence attached. Time flies and Red is now free too. But like what happens to Brooke, Red is treated like he is not deserved to work anywhere. He even had a thought to get a suicide. Then he suddenly remembered about Andy's promise to take him to Mexico. Red opened the box that I mentioned before and finds some money and finds some letters and money. He finally meets Andy in a place in Mexico, and the end. And now it's time to review this movie. The movie is considered as one of the best movies of all time because it has a very great moral value. The life in a prison is not always as what we think, and so with the prisoners. Everyone could change. Some of prisoners are already turned into good men. And it is shocking that some of them are more enjoyed when they were in prison. And in fact, the authorities in the Shawshank are very dirty. This movie really tells about the true humanity and teach us to not judge easily. Actually, you will understand better if you watch the whole movie. I'm sorry if my narration is not good enough. Thank you, see you next time. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.